Progress in the Middle East, a 60-day ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hezbollah with hopes that this could be the starting point for larger peace negotiations. Joining us now is Aaron Cohen, IDF Special Forces veteran and host of the Aaron Cohen Show on YouTube. It's great to have you. And it was interesting to watch President Biden yesterday, taking his own version of a slow victory lap at the White House on this. The timing of this, however, is not a coincidence to me. And I know that it's not one to you, Aaron. I think this is Hezbollah, Iran-backed proxy group, sees Donald Trump coming into the White House and says, we've got to dial it back a little bit because he's going to try to hit us hard. And this is one step in the right direction. But this has nothing to do with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
No, Jackie, you're absolutely right. It has zero to do with Biden. Biden's been asleep for the last year at this campaign. In fact, he hasn't been the greatest friend to Israel. He's withheld weapons. Israel got up in front of their Knesset, their parliament, was very clear about that. Him and Blinken have been very difficult with Israel while Israel is trying to defend itself. But I agree with you 100%. Here's where I'm at. Although the ceasefire being proposed by the United States and being agreed to by Israel in the Middle East, that signals weakness. I just want you to know that. That's the way the neighborhood looks at it. But here's how I see it, and I agree with you. The 60 days is temporary. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow Prime Minister Netanyahu and the IDF to regroup and wait for Biden to get out of the White House so that Trump can come in and that really strong partnership can start to take shape. And Israel's done a tremendous amount of damage to Hezbollah. You got to remember, 4,000 of their logistics operations personnel had their fingers and eyeballs blown out by our Mossad. So Israel took a monster bite out of Hezbollah. And I believe that if the decision was made for the ceasefire, it was a strategic one. Israel feels like it's safe. And so now they're going to take a little break. They're going to rearm. They're going to wait for Trump to come in, Biden gone. And then Israel will begin to focus on the real threat, which is Iran.
So that's interesting, Aaron. You talked about the monster bite they took out of Hezbollah. Is the next piece of this trying to take an even bigger monster bite out of Hamas? Or is it Iran? In other words, what do you do with a ceasefire? What hay do you make when you get a ceasefire on one front?
Well, it's a good question. So I think the optics are going to start to get. I think that this is another monster deception play right here. And that's the way Israel has to fight. They've got to be smarter than everybody because they're smaller. They don't have the equipment that the United States has. We've got to move, kamo nachash, like we say in Hebrew. We've got to be a little more maneuverable and manipulative. And by playing into the psychology of the region. So while it looks weak, I think the main optics are going to start to focus through deception and quietly on Iran and the IRGC. So you got to remember, Hezbollah, just a puppet. Hamas, just a puppet. Israel's done an incredible amount of damage to both of those terror groups. But at the end of the day, Israel knows that it's the IRGC that needs to be taken down. And I think Bibi's going to wait for Trump. And then that real maximum pressure is going to start to roll out. Meanwhile, Mossad will begin to put together an operation for them.
Do you believe the puppet then when Hamas says, well, I see this ceasefire with Hezbollah and I want one too?
It's interesting because I saw Hamas pop up their flag also. I think Hamas is been absolutely pushed into a corner right now, but we still have a ton of hostages. There's over 100 in Gaza, and I think that's going to be the focus. Hostages in Gaza, pressure on Hamas. You want a ceasefire, give back the hostages, and time to start setting optics on Iran and whether that's assassination operations, whatever that ends up unfolding and turning into. Right now, Israel waiting for Trump to slide in.
Yeah. And that's the thing, of course, when Hamas gives up those hostages, it has no more leverage anymore. And so ultimately, that's this weird dance that they're doing, that's Aaron. Right. We'll see what happens with a turning of a page and a new regime in place. We so appreciate your time today.